Welcome back, guys, to yet another episode in the WoW Token Challenge. We are back yet again after having completed the Barrens as a zone and unlocking the next in line. The one chosen by the community is Ashenvale, and I'm currently walking into that zone, and as I do that, make sure that you guys join the giveaway for this episode. It's, of course, as always, 2 months of game time being given away to you guys. All you have to do is like the video, and then secondly, type a comment down below about maybe something considered like about Ashenvale. I've been in Ashenvale multiple times. I've done quests here, but the only real gold making related stuff that I've done is the dungeon. And there is a lot of stuff to get in the dungeon, and it is definitely something that we will be spending our time on. But other than that, I'm not exactly sure if there's any other things. I will be checking out the rares, of course. That's a given. There might be some really cool items there. But as for the open world farms, I'm not entirely sure. There might be some decent skinning opportunities as well. But that is all a part of it. We're going to get straight into it. See what this zone has to offer us, and we'll see whether or not this can potentially outperform the Barrens or be about the same, or if we inch close to the total hours of how much time we spent in Turretar. But should we get straight into it? So something we decided at the end of the last season, which was in the Barrens, is that all of the leftover mog that we got from the zone that we didn't sell by the time that we made enough for the token, is we sent it over to an alt. Now I've made an alt here called Sand Peon Bank, and this character will be posting every day, maybe every couple of days, the items that we have left over from the Barrens. This will also be obviously items from Ashenvale if we have any left over at the end of that. Which means this character could start earning some gold over time. Now, in the mailbox, over posting over 2 days, as you can see, we have 5,209 gold in the mailbox. This is just a bunch of small value mog, nothing too crazy. There's a couple of recipes, a couple of plans. But this will be a nice little bonus on the side. And I plan on making these updates whenever we have something interesting. And I mean, if we have enough that's interesting for each episode, you guys can get an update every episode if that's something that you would like. So we're going to go ahead and take this in total. We're going to bring ourselves up to a little over 10k on the secondary alt, which is very interesting. And just to show you guys, we are posting everything on the auction house that we have. We're posting it for whatever people are posting it for. So the amount of sales that we get might be a little lower than usual, but as you can see, we do have quite a lot of mog. 613 pieces to be exact currently. So this should be good fun to see what we can do. But again, that's it for now for the secondary alt. Let's get back to the episode. First impressions are in, and as far as I can tell, a lot of the materials are pretty much the same as what we had in the southern parts of Barrens. So our strategies are likely to be similar. Now, I am flying around to check out the rares, but as far as I can see on the loot table, they don't really have anything super interesting outside of the regular open world drops. And the same goes for most of the mobs that are hanging out in these locations. But as you can see, we have plenty of opportunities here to be able to do some sort of a skinning farm. And I'm sure that the skinning farms would perform probably just as good as what we can find in the southern parts of the Barrens. But it definitely seems like we're gonna be doing a lot of dungeon farming as well in this zone, which is good, and I don't mind it, because in this good old dungeon over here, Blackfathom Deeps, there is a lot of really good transmog. So I can't complain, because it's a, well, it's a really good dungeon to get started if you're not doing this challenge as well. So I wouldn't even ignore it if you're just farming gold regularly. So again, that's a pretty good one. We've already gotten a couple interesting, decent pieces with some pretty high sell rates as well. We take those, but I'm gonna make a little bit of a rotation here for the rares. I'll probably do this every once in a while to see if they're all up. Having better chances for loot drops is always nice. But I'm gonna make my way slowly over to the dungeon, and we'll start making our first couple of runs. Because something that I do want to do, that I didn't do in the Barrens, is to spend a lot of time on testing out the zone. And testing out a lot of the zone before I actually went into any of the dungeons. And I would definitely prefer to get started on the dungeons to build up the auction house. And then once we've done that, we can spend some more time running around in the zone and testing things out. But when it comes to most of the profession things, we don't really have anything new in terms of materials. That is pretty much reserved for the potential new zones that we can venture into afterwards. And I would also like to say, in case you guys missed it, what we are doing after we complete this lovely zone is you guys can pick a lot of different zones, because it will all be open in terms of zeppelins and boats, and I might consider portals as well. So we don't only have the opportunities of what is a border to the current zones, it is also an opportunity to go, say, through Ratchet, right? And if not only through Ratchet, we also have the opportunity to go here. Or here. All these zeppelins. So we'll see how that turns out and what you guys end up picking. But there is always the opportunity of going to the new bordered zones that we have, someplace like Fellwood or Mount Hyjal. But then again, we still have a lot of time before we're going to be able to get out of this zone. So let's get to work, because don't get me wrong, this is going to be a lot of hours. And something that I did actually just remind myself of is we haven't shown the slash played. So the slash played right now at the start of Ashenvale here is going to be 11 days, 20 hours, and 43 minutes. It's a little bit less, obviously. We've just spent a little bit of time in here, but 11 days and 20 hours is pretty accurate. So by the end of this zone, we'll see how much time this particular zone took. Who knows? Who knows how long it could take? We have made it into Blackfathom Deeps. And my plan is to full send this for 10 runs, if at all possible within an hour. But we're going to do an hour of Blackfathom Deeps and see what we can get. And of course, as always, I'll show you guys a sped up version of some of the runs so you can get an idea of where we go and how the dungeon looks if you have not been in here before. And then at the end of the hour, I'll go over some of the items that I've kept. And of course, as per usual, and in case you haven't watched the last two zones, what I plan on doing is the items that I will not be keeping. Anything under 100 gold in value will be disenchanted instantly. And the same thing goes for in terms of duplicates. I'm not going to keep more than maybe 2 or 3 versions of something. And the main reason that that's the case is because selling that many versions of a particular mod is not always easy. And even if we do get multiple versions of something, I do not have like that much of a plan to hold on to that much stock, because we don't want to spend too much time on the auction house. But that's enough for now. I'll go into it a little bit more once we get further into the challenge, and also once we've completed the first hour of this dungeon. So let's get straight into it. So an hour has been completed, and it might just say 40 minutes on your screen, but I may have DC'd in the middle of it, but we have another 21 minutes here in total. And as for the runs, I can do them in, I want to say, approximately 6 minutes per run. I do skip some mobs because if I end up running over to kill those mobs, then I won't actually be able to do it in under 6 minutes. Which is not, I mean, inherently it's not really a problem that it takes longer, because that just, then we can just for sure keep going. But that one section inside the dungeon, I don't really care too much for, just because you have to swim through a bunch of water, and it's not really super easy to do that as a hunter. So I'm just going to decide to not do it. And it's basically just when you get into the turtle, you swim under and over towards Domina. You don't want to kill Domina though, because that removes a bunch of mobs, and I don't want to accidentally, if I'm not paying attention, kill her. So I've decided to just not go that way. But we have a full inventory of all sorts of loot here. Now, there are a couple of pieces that are outliers, some pretty decent ones. I actually have a blue I need to get rid of there. But we did get a couple of some of the higher value mogs. I don't know like how well these are holding up anymore, because I remember a lot of the blues that we can get from inside Blackfathom Deeps, a lot of them are really good in terms of actual value. We did get 4 of them. We did get one here that's a duplicate evocators, a blade. This is just a small dagger. We did get 2 of those. And then we also got the staff of the friar. There's this one, and then we got the staff of the blessed seer. There's a lot of different ones in here. I'd say probably the one I remember the most is tree bark chest piece, a tree bark something. And then there's also the onyx claymore. I'd love to get those. But other than that, obviously we want to be hunting for these. And then we got this one we had from the open world. But you can see here there's a bunch of different valued mog. The regen sell rate is pretty awesome on a lot of this stuff. There's a couple of them where it isn't that great, like you'll see on this one, 0.004. But in my head, as long as it's above 0.002, I'm going to keep it regardless. There's also a lot of this mog. Again, if it has over 100 gold value, I will just be keeping it and trying to post it on the auction house and sell it and see what we can do. But again, might not keep too many duplicates of one piece. And then there's also the grunt chest piece here. Really cool looking chest piece. This is a part of a set, the grunt set, and there's also a bunch of other ones. Now I can't, the value is probably a little ridiculous. As you can see, the region market value average is pretty high on this, so we'll see how some of this ranges on the auction house, and we might have to adjust some of the prices because some of them are a little ridiculous. But there's a good amount of greens here. We got a couple of good pieces. Did also get the grunt leggings here, the leggards. So you can see that matches nicely right there. Pretty good, pretty solid. But again, bunch of good pieces. Nothing to complain about here. This is 10 runs in total. So you can see it's quite a lot of greens that we got just off of that. Obviously, when we start building up the auction house, it's going to change quite a bit. But in terms of the actual materials, we don't get much consistent gold. We do, of course, as you can see right here, get a bunch of greater eternal essences from disenchanting. I'd say in terms of materials, we probably get about 2k an hour, give or take 2k, because we get some pearls as well and some cloth and whatnot. So this is an extra bonus leather, maybe like somewhere between 2k and 2500, I would say, depending on how lucky we get on disenchants and whatnot. And then we also get, on top of that, we do get around 600 gold raw. So in terms of the really consistent gold, I'd say it's probably around 3k, which is pretty solid, honestly. If you ask me, I'd say it's pretty solid on top of all the mog that we're gonna get. But I'll be running through a lot more of Blackfathom depths or deeps. I keep saying depths for some reason, but that I think it's because there's the other what do you call it? Blackrock depths. That's the one I keep confusing it with. But I'm going to keep running this for a good amount of time. I also need to clean out my inventory real soon. This is getting quite full here. But I want to fill up the auction house with a bunch of the mog that we can get from this dungeon. Just because there's so much and we have access to pretty much all the world drops. So I'm going to continue full sending it in here. And once I've collected a good bit of drops, I'll show you guys what we have. I'll show you guys a look into the auction house. How much we've been able to build up once I do that a couple of times. So yeah, let's get straight into grinding. I'll see you guys in a second. The time has come for the first check-in for this episode. We're going to take a look at the slash blade, as you can already see down here in the bottom left corner. And as you can see, it is at 12 days, 3 hours, and 45 minutes. Which means we spent 6-7 hours so far in Ashenvale, and we've gotten a bit of stuff to show for it. Now, I do have some things laying around in my inventory here, and you can also see that the raw gold that we have has grown by about 2,200. That is mostly the gold that we're getting from the dungeon, Blackfathom Deeps. And also, for that dungeon in particular, unfortunately, I can't add, you can see here, Akumai kills. It doesn't track the last boss kills for some reason. But as far as I know, based on the raw gold that we have as well, I've done somewhere around 35 runs. So that's the amount of runs that we've done so far. I do have a bunch of stuff posted on the auction house. And I actually want to show you guys that before we look at the mailbox. We haven't made insane progress in terms of sales, but we also haven't gotten to post that many times since this is still very early in the challenge. But, as you can see, we have a lot of value posted on the auction house. You might be like, some of these prices are absolutely ridiculous, and I would tend to agree with you. But here's the thing. For at least the first couple of days, or however long we spend, to really build up the auction house to get a bunch of the greens that we can get from the dungeon, I'm just going to post these items at whatever the minimum price is. If there's nothing posted, they get posted at the market value on my server. So we have these Grunt's chest piece. Now they look pretty good, as you can tell right here. It's actually a pretty popular piece of Mog, so that's good. And then you can see the blues here are some of the really good blues from Blackfathom Deeps. This one in particular, Staff of the Friar, we actually have 3 of those, so that's a little crazy. But as you can see, the prices are extremely high, especially if you compare it to the region sale average. But we're going to try those prices for now and see what happens. And then there's also some of the Sentry Mog here, which is a pretty cool overall set. We don't have too many of these. Then there's the Ritual Shroud. This is a really popular piece as well. It's actually pretty highly priced at the moment on my realm here. But, you know, again, as I said, we're going to keep posting at whatever price that we find. And don't have any, like, really cool looking pieces of Mog. But some of this is nostalgic for a lot of people. And you have these Grunt's hand wraps as well, which fits together with a chest piece for the full set. There's other pieces too, but we don't have those at the moment. And then there's the war paint chest piece, which is another color. Looks a little bit different. Hulking leg plates. There's a bunch of this stuff that's super good. And again, I am keeping everything that is over 100 golden value and has a sell rate. And we will be posting on the auction house. Same goes for some of these white items. Prospector's chest piece, any piece of prospector gear, super popular, as you can see as well on the region sell rate. Super good. But other than that, we don't have anything too insane. We get into the lower valued Mog here. We do get a little bit of materials, as I've been telling you guys, but it's nothing crazy, so it's really not that insane. And you can see we have one more of the Staff of the Friar here, and then, you know, a couple of other greens. Nothing out of the ordinary, as I was saying. And then just the materials. But in the mailbox, we currently have 5,000 gold. And considering this is early, and you can see this is pretty much over 1 day of posting, it's like a day and a half at this point. We've mostly just been able to sell the materials. And it's not surprising, because I haven't adjusted any of the prices on a lot of the Mog that we have, and we still don't have too much, because remember, we've only done approximately 35 runs. So there's still a lot of mog that we do not have. But I did spend some more time actually looking into some of the open world potential farms in Ashenvale. And as far as I can tell, when it comes to the open world drops, every single one of the open world drops we can get inside of the dungeon. So it doesn't really seem like it's worth it to do open world farms just to get whatever drops in the open world, because we can get it in the dungeon. However, there is the opportunity of doing skinning farms, and that is something that I do want to spend some time on, because I did see a couple of pretty interesting places. I don't think it's going to outperform the stuff that we had in the Barrens, but I don't know. And getting consistent gold that's higher than the material value that we get inside the dungeon is not a bad thing to explore, especially when we build up the auction house a little bit more. But again, we take the 5,000 gold. As you can tell, this is all a bunch of really random materials. It's leathers, it's cloth, it's pearls, it's you know, some of the gems. There's also a couple of herbs sprinkled throughout, and then you can see the bigger ones here would be the greater eternal essences. We get quite a lot of these actually from disenchanting the items. It's pretty nice. It almost feels like it's more than what we've been getting in previous dungeons. It might also just be because we've been like reasonably lucky on some of these items. But of course, we also do get more greater eternal essences at the moment because of the collector's bounty, which means we get twice the amount of blues in all these dungeons from the boss drops. There's quite a lot of bosses in that dungeon, so again, we take that. But for the first episode, in terms of liquid gold in our inventory, we are going to make it to 7,313. Now for the next episode, my plans are to maybe slowly start adjusting some of these prices, especially if we start getting a lot of duplicates, you know, for the higher valued stuff, because, you know, holding on to, let's say if we have 5 of the Grunt's chest pieces, I mean, selling 5 of them for 115k is unreasonable. So lowering the price and potentially selling that to flippers is most likely something that we will be doing with a lot of this stuff, unless we get some of the really rare ones. There's in Blackfathom Deeps, there's the Onyx Claymore, this one right here. This one is really interesting. This is one I probably wouldn't lower the price too much on because it's pretty rare, and you can also see the region sale average is 29k. So this one would be absolutely amazing to get, and I hope we do get it. There's also another one, Tree Bark Jacket. This one I probably wouldn't lower the price too much on because this is a really interesting piece of mog, and I remember this selling really well because it's a cloth piece as well, and it looks like a leather piece. So it's a pretty interesting one, and it also only has one other similar appearance. And as for the Onyx Claymore, you can see that is the only appearance. There is no other sword that looks like this, which does mean quite a lot for a bunch of transmog. That's mostly everything that I had for this episode. In the next episode, I'll be exploring, of course, we'll be doing a lot more in terms of the dungeon runs. I don't know why my brain was frying itself there. But in terms of dungeon runs, we've been doing a lot more of those. And then I will also be spending a bunch of time, hopefully, in the open world, maybe testing out some of the skinning farms. And the good thing is we still have enchanting, so we can disenchant whatever greens we might get in the open world as well. But I'll be testing that out, so that should be good. But I'm pretty happy with the progress overall. We also did some experimentation and looking up certain things and some research. So we'll see what we can do. But if you guys have any ideas or anything that you want me to test or look for, or anything that you know about Ashenvale that I haven't mentioned, make sure you drop that down in the comments below, because there's still probably plenty that I do not know about the zone. And also, just to add on to it, another thing is I want to, even if it isn't necessarily particularly worth it compared to other farms, if it's something that is RNG inspired, right? If we could do something just to test our luck on RNG, then I will absolutely do that. And if it's anything else, like obviously we're probably not going to spend our time if it's 1 to 2k an hour, but if it's over the consistent gold value of, you know, the 2,500 3k that we could get, then I will be spending some time on it. Again, make sure you type that down in the comments below if you know anything that I might not. And make sure to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any of the future videos. But I appreciate you guys for hanging out, watching, as per usual. and I'll see you on the next one.